I never thought I'd see him again, not like this, not after everything. But that knock on the door changed everything. Jason never believed in second chances, especially not with family. He had grown up idolizing his father, a stern, unyielding man who prized order above all else, and who kept emotions locked tightly behind a disciplined exterior. Jason had always admired that strength, even if it left him feeling distant, unseen at times. But the day his father remarried, something shifted. Claire had entered their lives quietly, late in his father's story, after Jason had already left the nest and built a life of his own. To Jason, she was just a stranger politely inserted into family photos, a woman who smiled at holidays and remembered birthdays, but who had never truly been part of their world. She was polite, elegant, and always careful, like a delicate painting placed just slightly off-center. Now, standing in front of the house his father had spent decades building, Jason felt an unfamiliar pressure in his chest. The crisp autumn wind carried the sharp scent of pine and decaying leaves, rustling across the driveway like a whispered reminder of everything he had left behind. He wrapped his coat tighter around him, hesitating before the front door. It had been over a year since the funeral, and he'd avoided this house ever since. Memories lingered here like ghosts, in the soft creak of the floorboards and the faint aroma of cinnamon that still clung to the air. The door opened before he could knock again. Claire stood there, as composed and graceful as ever, though there was a quiet weariness in her eyes, like someone who had carried far more than they should. "I didn't think you'd come," she said softly, stepping aside to let him enter. Jason offered no answer. He moved past her into the familiar warmth of the house, a place that had once been overflowing with life and laughter. Now, it felt suspended in time, held together by memories and unspoken regrets. "I appreciate you being here," Claire said, her voice calm but edged with something urgent. "There's something I need to talk to you about." Jason clenched his jaw. "If this is about the property," he interrupted, "I've told you, I don't want anything from it." "It's not about ownership," she said, her tone gentle but firm. "It's about honoring what he wanted." He frowned, suspicion and frustration mingling in his chest. "What do you mean?" Claire folded her hands, her movements slow and deliberate. "Before he passed, your father asked me to make sure the house stayed a home, not just an empty structure. He wanted it full of life, not left to crumble. He hoped you'd help with that." Jason's chest tightened. He had never been close to Claire, never truly understood her place in his father's life, and now she was asking him to be part of something he wasn't sure he even wanted to touch. "Why now?" he asked, voice rough. "Because I can't do it alone," she replied simply. "And because I think he was right. We owe it to him to try." There was no pleading in her voice, just quiet conviction. Something in her tone made him pause. She wasn't asking, she was offering a bridge. A chance to start again, if he would take it. Finally, he spoke. "I don't know if I can." "You don't have to do it for me," Claire said, stepping closer. "Do it for him. For yourself, too. It's a chance to rebuild, not just a house, but what you lost along the way." Reluctantly, Jason followed her into the kitchen, the one room that still carried his father's essence. Claire poured tea with the kind of practiced ease that made it seem effortless, placing a cup in front of him. The aroma, comforting and familiar, brought back a flood of memories, holidays spent baking together, laughter echoing through the halls, quiet moments of connection he had never truly appreciated until they were gone. "Your father left this for you," Claire said, handing him an envelope. The handwriting was bold, deliberate, unmistakably his father's. Jason hesitated, then took it, feeling the weight of each word before he even opened it. "Jason, I know I wasn't always the father you wanted me to be. I know my choices caused pain. I never meant for Claire to replace what we had, I just needed a piece of joy again. I hope you can understand that love isn't betrayal. It's a second chance. Please take care of her, not because you have to, but because she's worth it." Jason swallowed hard. It wasn't just an apology. It was a confession, one his father had never spoken aloud. "I never wanted to come between you," Claire said softly. "You didn't," he replied, voice thick. "I just thought accepting you meant letting go of my mom completely." Claire's expression softened. "Love doesn't erase what came before. It just makes space for what's still possible." Something in her eyes made him pause, a spark of vulnerability, the gentlest flicker of something unspoken. Slowly, the heaviness in his chest loosened. "I want to help," he said quietly, surprising himself. In the weeks that followed, Jason stayed. He painted walls, repaired broken floorboards, and sifted through old boxes filled with forgotten stories. The house began to change, but so did he. What had once felt like a burden now felt like purpose, like the possibility of something new. One night, Jason found Claire on the porch, staring at the stars. He joined her, their shoulders brushing ever so slightly, an electric tension in the quiet night. "I used to think letting go meant forgetting," he said. "Letting go," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "just means making space for what comes next." Jason nodded, finally understanding. The real legacy his father left behind wasn't the house or the memories, but the invitation to begin again, together. And as he looked at Claire, standing so gracefully beside him, he realized that maybe, just maybe, some second chances were worth saying yes to.